Far from the only stunning revelation of FBI bias this week, our next guest testified in an explosive hearing about the Bureau's alleged retaliation against their own agents.
Working as an FBI special agent was my dream job. My whistleblowing was apolitical and in the spirit of upholding my oath. Nonetheless, the FBI cynically elected to close ranks and attack the messenger.
The FBI will crush you. This government will crush you and your family if you try to expose the truth about things that they are doing that are wrong. And we are all examples of that.
FBI whistleblowers Steve Friend and Garret O'Boyle both join us now. Gentlemen, so glad to have you on the program. Thank you for your testimony earlier this week. Steve, I'd love to start with you. During your testimony, you were asked about by Congressman Matt Gaetz, and you talked about some of the things you were assigned to do as an FBI agent, including taking down license plates outside of school board meetings. You hear this report about FISA warrants and the spying on American citizens, people who were present at January 6th. What are your thoughts about what the activities are going on at the FBI?
I think the FBI has sort of evolved from what we expect it to be, which is federal law enforcement. And after 9/11, when the National Security Branch was grown exponentially, the FBI has now essentially evolved into a domestic intelligence agency with a law enforcement capability, which is what I expressed in the hearing. And that's a problem because the nature of law enforcement investigations are linear. They have a start and an end. And the nature of intelligence operations are circular. They just gain more intelligence to gain more intelligence, and they never end.
Oh, what a great way to put that into context. Garret, we heard from your testimony, highly emotional and compelling testimony this week. I'm curious from your perspective. I was on this week. We talked about your testimony, your life, you know, that you were essentially put on suspension right after being transferred across the country, left homeless, right when you had a baby being born. What was the tipping point for you, Garret, when you decided, though, hey, I need to talk about what's going on in the FBI?
I don't know if there was any firm tipping point that I can reach to, but it was more a summation of things that had been adding up and just over and over again saying, this doesn't seem right. This isn't what I was taught in constitutional law courses, or this isn't how you implement people's constitutional rights and balance those rights with the law enforcement responsibility that we have to the people in this country. So it was more a summation of things that it was repetitive inside the FBI where it was like, this seems wrong, this seems wrong, that seems wrong. And so it got to a point where I just couldn't sit back anymore and had to just start exposing some of the nefarious things that the FBI was doing.
Yeah, Garret, and if you could, I know you testified to it this week. Your life has been totally upside down, turned upside down as a result of your choice to speak.
That's correct. It has been. And, you know, I'll reiterate, I've made my oath to this country, and I'm going to stand by that oath, no matter what the cost. And that's all we can do. And I want to urge every American to stand by that oath. We all have a responsibility and a duty to this nation and to each other. And we're the ones who are responsible for making sure that our government and our country runs the way it's supposed to run.
Yeah, Garret, we heard your testimony when you said, if you speak out, though, be ready, because the FBI will crush you. Steve, there was an interesting moment with you and Congressman Dan Goldman, and he actually asked all of you guys about taking money from Kash Patel, donations from Kash Patel, who worked with President Donald Trump. Goldman was suggesting to you, Steve, that you basically are on the take, that you are a political operative for taking that donation. What is your reaction?
Well, I'll put my patriotic bona fides up against Congressman Goldman any day of the week. You know, I was an unpaid FBI suspended whistleblower, and I was not proud to accept a charitable donation, but I was certainly forced to do so. And, you know, this is just one of the things that the FBI does to force and punish whistleblowers to leave. Yeah. And just even with Deputy Wasserman Schultz accused me of being a grifter and writing a book. I didn't accept it in advance, and I told my publisher that I didn't expect to make a single cent. I just want my information to be taken seriously.
It's a lot harder when you don't inherit millions as the heir of Levi Strauss to get by when you try to do the right thing. Before we go, I need to ask you both one quick question that a lot of people ask in America, and that is, you two are outstanding gentlemen. Why are there not more? Are there more? Inside the FBI, are there more people who feel like both of you? Quickly to you, Steve, and then to you, Garret.
I think there are, and the way that this hearing went and the way that Garret and Marcus and I were able to comport ourselves against that fire from the Democratic side is going to encourage others to come forward now.
Yeah, and Garret, do you find that you two are outliers, or a lot of people share your beliefs and observations about the FBI?
I think a lot of people do share our beliefs and convictions. I think they just aren't at the point that Steve and I and others have gotten to, or they're too afraid, like we discussed in our testimony. They're too afraid because they know, they've seen our example that we will be crushed.
Steve Friend, Garret O'Boyle, thank you for being with us this morning. More importantly, thank you for speaking out. We appreciate it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.